Good afternoon everyone, welcome to Our Small Footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. It is Sunday, and normally on a Sunday I do a bit of a chat and catch-up video, that sort of thing. So that's what we're doing today. So first up, the last couple of videos have been the monthly grocery haul and the food hamper haul. And I didn't get a video done prior to those about the planning and things like that. So I did grab my planner. So I have a happy planner, which is this one here. Let's see if I can focus on it. It's a gardening based one, but I use this for all my inventorying and things like that on my shopping. So I have pages where I do inventories. Let's see if I can. And these show all the items that I have regularly on my shelf, how many I have left on the shelf before I go shopping, what I like to keep on my shelf, and then what I need. And I do these up before I go shopping every month. I have some prettier ones that I didn't get a chance to print out this month, so I ended up using the handwritten ones. But I use this planner to help me keep track of any recipes that I want to try in the month and grocery lists and things like that. I also use it to track memories. I have a little photo camera, so I put little photos in and try and track dates of things that happen that I might want to remember later on and things like that. Track when I plant things out in the garden and when I harvest, and I'm hoping to track the quantities that I harvest this year, though it doesn't look like I'm getting around to harvesting anything this year so far, so that's great, but we will hopefully get there. So I do my inventory before I go. Now, because I've got a bunch of new viewers, I'm just going to go over some stuff that I've gone over before. We shop every 6 weeks. It's been a 5-week shop this particular time because didn't want to go down too close to Christmas. So it has been 5 weeks between the last one, and we like to keep some stock on the shelf. So we do like to have enough on the shelf that if I didn't make it to my grocery shop, so if I for some reason at my 6-week mark that I was supposed to go grocery shopping, I couldn't go, whether it was a car issue or a health issue or whatever else, that we could last theoretically until the next shopping trip would be. So realistically we want one extra shopping trip worth of food available. Now, we could exist on the food that we have left like that. It wouldn't be the most pleasant food, would be a lot of frozen vegetables, a lot of canned vegetables, not a lot of anything fresh and things like that, especially while the garden isn't doing too well, but we could manage. So that is the plan. Eventually I would like to drag my groceries out to every 12 weeks, and if I do that, then we're going to need 12 weeks of storage, which is going to be a little bit more difficult to achieve, not only because of the cost of bumping that quantity up, but also the ability to store it safely away from pests and rodents and things like that, and have enough storage because we only have limited freezer space because we're on solar and things like that. So we do have some left on our shelves every time we go shopping, and I do double check that inventory when I go, but some things we tend to go through in the end, we go all the way through in the 12 weeks and we have none left by the end. The 6 weeks, and we have none left by the end. So to get to a 12-week period, I would have to buy double, and at the moment that's not particularly feasible money-wise or logistically. Like, I already filled the car and the ute up when I go every 6 weeks, so doing a 12-week shop will require a little bit more planning to do that, but that is the plan in the end. So we do have food on the shelves and things like that, though I have realized that the increase in grocery costs, I hadn't noticed it too much in the actual cost of my groceries. Like, my groceries seem to be pretty much the same price. I wasn't spending more each time I went, but I have noticed that the difference has been that we've run out of some of the stuff that we have bought because I haven't been buying extra. So I've still been spending the same budget, but that budget has not covered extras. So, you know, I might buy 24 tins of corn for a 6-week period, and we're going through 24 tins of corn. So at the end of that 6-week period, there are none left, and I have to buy the whole 24 again. And I think part of that is because I'm not buying surplus, but also because we're relying on some of those canned goods a little bit more, because I am buying less fresh because it's more expensive. So I'm still spending the same amount each shopping period, but I think we're getting less for it. I hadn't really noticed it until this month though, so I think it's been sort of slow process of that. Most things have only increased in price small amounts. There's only some things that have increased excessively, and it's not a lot of the stuff that we buy that has gone up. So this month I did notice that olive oil, so we buy the Kirkland olive oil blend because that's one that I quite like, and I use it for my mayos and things like that. And when I first started buying it about, I want to say 18 months ago, it was $28.99 for the 6 litres of olive oil, and it went up to $39.99 a while back, and then last month it was $45.99, which is a considerable increase, and then this month it was $52.99. So it's no longer cheaper to buy it at Costco than it is elsewhere, and it's not worthwhile. So I still had 4 3-litre bottles on my shelf, so I didn't need to buy any this month, which was a good thing, but that's something that has definitely gone up in a significant increase. So like the mints went up by like $1 a kilo a few months back, and that's fine. It happened, and you can sort of tolerate that. The ghee went up by a couple of dollars per packet. The flour went up by, I think it was $1 per 12.5 kilo bag, and things like that. But they were all tolerable increases because they were cheap to begin with. So when they, like, even with the extra $1 on the flour, it's still far cheaper to buy a 12.5 kilo bag of baker's flour at Costco than it is to purchase baker's flour anywhere else. So that's okay. But when you go the increases like the olive oil, that significant an increase means that it's no longer a viable option to purchase. So the impact definitely has been seen this month of the price increases, whereas I haven't noticed it so much previously. But it is things like, normally we would have half a dozen jars of pulled pork on the shelf and half a dozen jars of shredded chicken on the shelf, and that's what Darryl will use while I'm on my grocery shopping, so that easy meals for while I'm gone. And we only have a couple of jars of pork left on the shelf now and no chicken, because obviously we've used that because we've bought less in other places without even really realizing it. And I'm pretty on top of what we buy, so I don't know whether it's partly, it's a bit like the pasta, so dried spaghetti, we buy dried spaghetti, and we ran out this month. Well, we didn't, we had 2 left when I went for the grocery shopping, which is very low stocks for us, and part of that is because the kids now eat 2 500-gram packets in a meal instead of 1. So I think part of it is just that the kids are aging up, and so some of our food quantities have increased in conjunction with pricing changing, and our stretching our grocery shops from 4 weeks to 6 weeks not that long ago has changed. So it's very much a moving process to figure out exactly how much is required to get by in a 6-week period, especially with the increases of costs as well. So I hope that made sense. And people have asked about how the pricing is affecting us at the moment, and I didn't feel like it was too much because we buy a lot of unprocessed goods, a lot of raw goods, like a lot of flours and single ingredients that we use to make other things, and it wasn't such a big deal. But I have noticed this month that the difference was that we were left with a lot less on the shelves at the end of the 6-week period than normal. So a lot less jars of meat and a lot less cans of corn and things like that, because obviously we had used them to bulk up meals throughout the month and things like that. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on how it goes. Now I do have spreadsheets with costings from most of the places that I shop that goes back on and off for about the 18 months. I'm going to try and put some stuff together and put it up on the website so people can see too, out of curiosity, even if I just get the receipt from Costco up there so that people can see the cost of things at Costco, so they can assess whether that's worthwhile for them to go to, and Aldi comparisons and things like that. So I'm going to try and get that up for you guys, because I know that it helps me to have it to look back at the pricing and to look at the receipts and things like that, because you can't find it online. It's not like Woolworths and Coles where you can just go online and check their pricing per 100 grams and things like that. You definitely have to have someone who goes to these places to check little things like rolled oats. At Woolworths you can buy 1.8 kilo bags, they're 17 cents per 100 grams. At Aldi you can buy, I think they're 750 gram bags and they're 17 cents per 100 grams. And then Costco used to be able to buy, I think it was 18 cents per 100 grams, but they were the Australian tractor oats and they came in big bags, which was great, but they were 43 cents per 100 grams this trip. So that's like just such a significant increase in pricing that you can't cop that kind of thing. It's too much to cop. So but yes, that's about it about those sorts of things. I think feel free to ask any questions in the comments and I will try and answer them as well. I never ended up getting to do that Q&A, so if you want to ask some questions, feel free to ask and I'll try and get to them as well. The only person who did ask me a question was about the kids' names, so I'll quickly answer that, and then I'm going to show you a couple of things in the garden that has been done, and the chickens that have moved, the baby chickens that we moved out to their little pen too, which are very cute. So the kids' names, we have 6 kids. The eldest is Surreal, and Surreal was a character in a book that I really liked, and her middle name is Lyric. So all the kids have some sort of a literature or musical reference in their names. So her name is Surreal Lyric and she is 15. Apollo is Apollo Rawdon, and Apollo is a Greek god who has musical abilities and things like that as well, amongst other things, and Rawdon is Gaelic for bard. Then we have too many children to remember names. That's sad, isn't it? Sonnet, and Sonnet is Sonnet Lenore, and obviously Sonnet for a Shakespearean sonnet. Lenore is the little dead girl out of Edgar Allan Poe's poems, and that is Darryl's favourite poem. And then the twins are Orpheus Grimm and Lorcan Gabriel. So Orpheus is a Greek god who apparently played music so beautiful that rivers stopped and trees danced, and Grimm for the Brothers Grimm. And Lorcan is Lorcan Gabriel. So Lorcan is Gaelic for little fiery one, Irish for little fiery one, and when they were born at 7 weeks prem, and he waved his arms around and refused the drip and things like that, and it just seemed to really fit for him. And then Gabriel is the musical messenger of God. Not that we're religious, more just that we really like the connotations of the name. And then the number 6 is Kavik rhythm. So Kavik is Inuit for Wolverine or wolf, and I have Mongolian heritage, and so it felt okay to use, and we really liked the idea of it. And rhythm as in just musical rhythm. So that is where I got the kids' names, and why I chose what I did for them. So that is the story behind their names. We are very much into having thought behind the names, but we also wanted them to sound nice to us. So that was what we picked for that. So I wanted to give you a quick show of a few things. So the fruit trees have really taken off in the last couple of weeks. It's really great to see all the leaves. We do have some issues with leafcutter bees again. So that we will see how the trees tolerate that. But we have some great growth. Let me turn you around. Now we badly need to clean up this space again with all the rain, all the grass is taken over, but we will get there. So some beautiful growth on these trees, and the comfrey has come back down the bottom too, which is great. So some really nicely significant growth on here. I need to come in and prune a couple of these lower branches that that don't seem to be coming back, but we probably don't need in there anyway because we want to give a bit of height to the tree. But we've got all of them doing quite well, though as I said, we've got a lot of leafcutter bee damage. So last year they completely decimated the peach trees, and some trees get damaged worse than others. Like this tree is really heavily eaten, so I'll just have to keep an eye on it and see how it goes. But all the trees, crabapple there that's been doing well, there's another apple in here, and then there's an apple here that is starting to leaf back up as well over it, and the comfrey has come back nicely underneath that one too. So they are all doing really well. This one here is lovely and tall and doing really well. And then this one here has flowers on it, which is kind of neat, but also has some leaf cutter bee damage too, so keep an eye on it. Peach trees are taking off, so this one and that one are doing really well, which is nice. And then the trees down the end, still haven't cleaned all this up yet, so just, you know, excuse. The feijoa trees, got lots of nice new growth. And then look at the height of this pear tree. It is taller than me now. So I still have to spray it with some copper. We've got some damage going on here, and I haven't had a chance to get the copper spray for it. So hopefully it'll be okay until I do. And then this pear tree is doing well as well, lots of new growth. So I'm really happy with those, but this one has just massively shot up. So that is very cool. And then we have the volunteer stuff in the space that we didn't get a chance to do anything with. So because the chickens came out of here, look at it. It is just completely overgrown. Chickens were in here, and then we didn't get a chance to do anything about it. So we've got volunteer tomatoes everywhere that are actually flowering. No, you know, I can't get my own tomatoes to grow, but we've got volunteer tomatoes flowering in here, a whole lot of weeds, a lot of natives as well. And then we've got this pumpkin that is taken off in here as well. So it's pretty amazing that things have done what they've done. Obviously got something living in there, but yes, this space, we knew that emptying the chickens out of here and not getting to it meant that this space would get a little overrun, so we shall have to work on that. So the fruit trees are really starting to take off this now that it's staying warmer. We're supposed to get some rain tomorrow, and then it's supposed to be cooler again for the week, and then rain again next weekend, so we'll see how that goes. It was very hot today, and I have noticed a few of my plants struggling a little with the heat. The kiwi berries, I'm going to go and fill some watering cans up to water them, because they are looking very sad, which is pretty normal because they're new trees, new plants haven't established enough yet to look for water for themselves. So I'm going to water them. Because they are very droopy. Seedlings are still just, you know, some are surviving, most aren't. It's just haven't got anything positive to share there at the moment. The potatoes are doing wonderfully. They are really taking off. We've got a little bit of a bare patch in the middle here that obviously one of the potato types that we planted really didn't do much, but the seed potatoes have taken off. We've even got some potato flowers in there on that first row, so doing really well there. We shall see how we go with harvest for that, because being potatoes, it's one of those things that even if it looks good above ground, you don't necessarily know what you're going to get underneath. The other thing we've got is the beans that actually popped up are doing quite well. I'm in the process of trying to get them to walk up the trellis. So I've been coming in and telling them to go up the wire. Some are listening to me, like this one, and some just keep on falling over. So I just have to come in and keep doing that. Something is eating the ones on the other side, so they don't seem to be doing as well. But there is something chewing on these too, so a lot of the new shoots seem to disappear, so we will see how we go there. I did plant some bush beans in here, but nothing's come up, and things are drying out again, so I don't know what we'll get there. The hollyhocks are looking beautiful. We got this gorgeous pink one here, and then we've actually got this white creamy greeny one coming up here too, which is just stunning. My plantain is flowering as well, and there's a white, so that one's definitely sort of a green, and there's a white one there, and then there's a pink one here, but it's like a ruffled one. It's got multiple, like a ruffled flower rather than a single one. And there's a peachy orangey one there too. So, but we've got flea beetles obviously on these leaves, so I need to get the diatomaceous earth out here for that. Other than that, we just, that single zucchini, and there's this mystery plant that we've been talking about, is still here. I do agree that it might be a watermelon. Someone suggested watermelon. It definitely does resemble a watermelon, so we're just going to let it go and see what it does. And pretty much nothing else. We've done nothing else in the garden yet. It's still just nothing. So anyway, let me take you around the back to have a look at the older chicks that have gone out. So the grey water system was something else that I'd spoken to you before about and haven't updated. It's on a bit of a stall with all the rain. The hole we had the bathtub and the pump and stuff in flooded and caused issues, and we couldn't get it to work. So we are having to pump the hole out and get a different style of float to be able to work for that. So that's still an ongoing process. So still working on that. And okay, so we're out of the chickens. Let me show you what we've got here. So we've got chickies and Whistler the duck. Hey Whistler. Hello. Hello buddy. So, chickies. So they're all out in this space now, their own little pen. Got somewhere to hide under there and a little bit of a cover there. A tiny little pond for the ducky because we don't want him getting too wet. Hey? They're all so lovely. So that's their new home for the moment, just a small pen there for them to get a bit bigger in. Plenty of room until the other chicks are big enough to come out as well for them, and right near all the rest of the duckies and chickens. So most of those chickens in there are from these hens. They were eggs collected from all these guys, so from Fox there and his girls. And we have about, I think there's 4 more ducklings and 16 or 17 chicks in the brooder at the moment that are still have heat at night, and are in a small space until they get a bit bigger. Once they get a bit bigger, they can come out with the other chickens and duck, and then as they get older, we'll separate them as need be for roosters and hens and things like that. So I think that's everything for this week. Not a whole lot to share because it was grocery week, so we've done a lot of that, and just wanted to chat to you about those groceries and stuff because I'd had some questions about, price increases and things like that. So cost-wise, I forgot to check when I was looking because I said I'd put there how much it cost me for my groceries this month, and I want to say it was $800 at Costco, 100 and something at the fruit and veg, and 60 at the meat. So say 1,000 there, and there was about 400 at Aldi and 60 at Woolworths, I think. So I think it was about $1,500. So $1,400 to $1,600 is what I budget in. Fuel cost about $100 this month. So bring that in, that brings it around about average. So next month, if I get some extra work and some extra funds done, I might try and buy some extras to stock up. I don't get much work post-Christmas, so money's always a bit tight in January, February. And but we also do some treats for the Christmas shop. Like I like to buy a 5 kilo box of frozen prawns. We have prawns once a year, and that's at Christmas time. And I buy a 5 kilo box of frozen ones. They go in the freezer, green ones, uncooked, and we use them in a whole lot of ways over Christmas and really thoroughly enjoy it. So that's something that we do every year, and I budget in for Christmas. I've done most of my Christmas shopping so far. There's only a few bits and pieces left to do, so that's good. And I might take the trailer with me next month so that I can do a bit extra. Hopefully there'll be stone fruit on for good pricing next shopping trip, so we have to get a whole bunch of stone fruit. So thank you for joining me again today, and I will talk to you again in the next day or so. And if I've forgotten to cover anything, please leave the questions in the comments and I will get back to you. Thanks guys for joining me again.